Chesco Gridiron Insider is back, and we are ready to preview the Central Division in the Chessmont. Those teams will be Westchester Ruston, Westchester East, Westchester Henderson, and Great Valley. So let's start with the defending District 1 5A champs in Westchester Ruston. Okay, Westchester Ruston, as I just mentioned, coming off their first District 1 championship in the school's history, they're poised to make a strong run at their defending their title. But first, Ruston will need to win the Chessmont Central crown. The team's lost 33 seniors from last year's juggernaut. However, the cupboard's definitely not bare. They are returning a decent amount of starters, and I know Coach St. Clair really liked his junior class. They're going to open the season. It'll actually be our featured Week 1-0 Chessmont Gridiron Insiders Game of the Week versus Unionville, as we mentioned in our previous segment. Look for returners, senior Will Garner, to stand out. He's going to be both a middle linebacker and a fullback. I think he was injured in the first or second game last year.
Integral game, kickoff.
So it was the second game, and believe it or not, with him playing on that team, we really they would have been even more loaded than they were. So he should definitely be a standout on defense, and look for him to carry the ball a ton. The backfielder Gardner, Jacobs, and quarterback Max Blaine looks to put up big offensive numbers again for the Ruston vaunted wing T attack. You want to talk, Nate, a little bit about Ruston's offense? I know they don't have a lot coming back, but
yeah, it's hard to find any names you can go to. You look at all the production last year. Almost everybody graduated. Garner wasn't even hardly a part of that production last year, which is amazing, like you said. But as a sophomore, he had 400 yards and 5 touchdowns as the B back there. Just a bruising, powerful runner. I think he plays linebacker too. So just a typical Ruston kid. Just the kind of kid you don't want to tackle and the kind of kid you don't want to be tackled by. Obviously, I think another Jacobs, one of the brothers from that family, obviously Deshaun a couple of years ago. So, they always find kids, right? They have an offensive line who's going to push you back, and then they'll find kids that carry the ball 40 times a game and eventually wear you down. So, it's no mystery playing Ruston, even though you might need some name tags this year to find out who's who. It doesn't really change their strategy much.
Pete, I know you talked to Coach St. Clair probably earlier in the week.
Yeah.
What did he have to say?
He's real excited about this season. He says, tradition never graduates. That's something that Ruston lives by. And he's really excited about his new quarterback, Max Blaine. He says he has a good grasp of the offense. He said if he could have started last year, except for David McClain was a 3-year starter and very adept at quarterback. The Garner kid's a killer on both sides of the ball. Andrew Shallow, I think you say his name.
Yes.
One of the best two-way linemen in the league. And he loves to run block. And I don't see Ruston taking that big a step back.
No, I agree. They have another challenging schedule as they hope to win the Battle of Westchester again. They also have four extremely competitive crossover games at home against Downingtown East and away against Downingtown West this year. They also have another challenging crossover game. I actually attended this game last year. I believe this was one of our Gridiron Games of the Week when they took on Pope John Paul. What a great game that was.
It was a good game.
Saturday morning game. The home opener against longtime rival Unionville, as we said, will be the first Gridiron Game of the Week. But also, if you look to Week 4 against Kennett and Week 6 against Downingtown East, those will also be Gridiron Games of the Week and games that you don't want to miss.
Right.
Look for us to make another deep push into the 5A District 1 playoffs. With both Westchesters, the Downingtowns, Unionville, and Kennett, and PJP on the schedule, they're definitely going to be battle tested.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really our preview for Ruston there. Let's move on to Westchester East.
Westchester East with a new staff in place. Dean Owens, after a 5-year stint as the head coach at Twin Valley and a couple years back at East as an assistant, is the new head coach. Dean's listing his staff. He's got a longtime Henderson head coach on board as a defensive coordinator. I have a relationship with Steve Mitten. He was on my staff for a couple of years, so I know he'll do a great job there. And Dean says the offensive line coach who's been at East, Doug Randall, will be his offensive coordinator, and he's excited to have both of those guys on board. Dean says he has a tightly knit senior class. Kids, and I know how that is. Coaching changes are tough. Kids got to come together and fight through change, and change is not always welcome. But I think it might be in this case. The kids seem excited to be working with Dean because they know him. He says he's got a quarterback who can throw, Logan Cummins, 6'5", 185, and a strong secondary led by both Chase Zalise and Kyle Keefe. He's excited about those guys. He says his concern is, what he needs to strengthen, he needs to develop his younger players, but he believes they have some strong sophomores who are going to be able to contribute for him this season. The guys he's excited about, sees them as maybe with breakout seasons or standout seasons. Again, Chase Zalise is a wide receiver, running back, corner, and returner. Kyle Keefe, he lists as a strong safety, wide receiver, running back. Carl Komorowski, I hope I'm saying that correctly, running back, free safety. Tyler Duell, Logan Cummings, as we mentioned, and Kevin Rivas. He lists those kids as players on the team. He says he has some kids getting recruited. Tyler Duell with Rutgers. He's a Rutgers commit already. Jay Solis. Lost my spot here. Sorry. I'm killing us here. Sorry, boys.
That's all right. Well, the quarterback returning, they really like a lot, and I really liked him a lot last year. Nate, what can you shed on the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, not a ton of reps last year. I think looks like he had 15 attempts, 6 completions last year, mostly in mop-up time often. But I mean, he's got two really good receivers this year. Keefe got hurt last year. I think he only played 1 or 2 games, so he's a highly touted defensive back, and also plays some wide receiver for them. Like you said, Chase Delows, 40 catches, 500 yards last year, 3 touchdowns. So they have guys, weapons on the outside. But I think the interesting part is just changing some of their scheme offensively to be a little bit more downhill, attacking inside the box there a little bit more with some wing T principles. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. But obviously to be able to do both and to have a quarterback that can throw and some wide receivers out there to throw it to, definitely gives them a little optimism on offense for sure.
And they open up with sort of a strange game, Academy Park on Friday at 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Down at Academy Park, and it's a little different from your 7 o'clock Friday night schedule. They need to get off to a fast start because week 1 he has a very tough Upper Moreland team coming to Westchester.
I remember that came from last year. Coach Moana, why don't you shed some? So it'll be kind of like a new defense that Coach Mitten will be putting in.
Yeah, he didn't get into details, and so I don't.
Well, you've coached with Coach Mitten, or he worked for you. What would you?
I would expect to see them in an odd front.
Okay.
With the shell secondary in the back and being very aggressive up front. That's what I'd expect from Steve.
But Mitt usually gets a lot of, he's going to.
And I say that, but at Henderson, Mitt was a 4-4 guy, and they got after you, that 4-3 guy, and they got after you that way as well. So I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll be based on talent, and I don't know enough to even guess. Do they have linebackers, and maybe they're a 3-4 team, or more big kids up front, maybe they're a 4-3 scheme. So I'm not sure, but I know Steve's an aggressive guy, and he's going to get after it.
So pressure's going to be a major part.
Obviously, he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
He's been around a long time. I know what the back end's going to look like. It's going to be a shell. It's going to be a shell, and it's going to be tough to get behind him.
Yeah, I think just talking to them a little bit today or last week, they got a kid named Chisholm and a kid named Chappell. I think Chappell was there last year playing inside backer. So those are the 2 guys who are going to be man on the inside. And I didn't know they really liked their secondary with Keefe and Zaloz and some of the other guys back there. It's just a matter of can they man the front lines? That's always been the biggest issue, especially when you're in a division with Westchester Ruston.
Yeah.
And just some of these
crossover
games.
I think they're going to be more physical with Dean and Steve Mitten than they were in the past few years. Dean's a tough guy, and Steve Mitten's fantastic resume. I mean, they're going to hit people.
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case, I thought, the last couple of years.
Yeah. Tyler Duell, I mean, I asked him about just the change to a little bit more run first offense, and he just smiled at me because he's as big as they come, 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is, close to 300 pounds, going to Rutgers, like Coach said. I mean, I don't think he plays much defense, so that'll be the tricky part to get some size on that side of the ball. But offensively, they should be able to attack a little bit more. So
I'm interested. Like I know the other division, all the rivalry stuff with the crossover coaches, Downingtown East, Downingtown West, and Coachville. You guys are filling me in on some of this. Who was at Easton's now at Henderson, and who was at Ruston's now at West. You know,
there's no loyalty anymore with
oh
the Westchesters. Everybody,
so there's going to be
whoever's paying the most, I guess.
Some good rivalry matchups.
The good news is they all get along quite well, so yeah,
I don't know about
there.
that.
Well,
Best of friends.
yeah, we'll maybe shed some light on that later.
No fake punts anymore. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy! All right, let's move on to Westchester Henderson coach Bob Rice. They had 4 coaches in the building, which is always good in building a program. Dan Ellis will return as the offensive coordinator. However, they'll have a new defensive coordinator in Zach Young. Coach said that obviously one of the things that they're going to have to get caught up to speed on and do it fast is learning a new defense, as they're going to play a new defense this year as opposed to last year. The strength trainer is Mike Costill, and Bob really thinks that the strength of the team this year, he likes that it's a tight-knit group. We got a lot of guys kind of returning from last year. Coach, didn't he say he had, 10 guys returning on
10
offense?
guys, yeah.
So, I mean, that really, you should say, wow, they should really be able to, learning the same offense again and being in it another year, that should really help put up offensive numbers. Obviously, learning a new defense, that's always tough, right? I watched them in one of the 7-on-7s. They looked like they were putting a lot of guys in. And it was early in the year, so you really couldn't tell kind of what. A lot of zone. They were playing a lot of zone.
How's the quarterback, DJ Cherub, the Kyle Cherub kid?
Yeah, Jackson Cherub.
Jackson.
They're excited to see what kind of leader he is. They're expecting, great things, another year from him. To Dan Ellis led offense, right? So I know they really are going to be hurt with the loss of the running back from last year, Brady Collins.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, one handoff away from taking it to the house pretty much every time. But they're going to throw the ball, right? So let's see what Jackson can do. I think he'll probably run the ball a little bit, not a ton. But that's kind of where they're expecting to get the bulk of their offense from. When it comes to college recruited players, he said Bob felt like they had a couple players, no one really being recruited heavily by any major teams, but he thinks eventually they'll wind up having some kids playing college. He said, I asked him, what games they circle, and he gave me we're a process-driven team and approach every week. I'm going to tell you, obviously damn right well, they're circling the Westchester games, right? Those are big games. I'm sure he'll also say, it's 1 week at a time. But if you're a Westchester kid, right, and you're not circling Westchester East and Ruston, you know what I mean? You might want to move out of the borough. Not really sure where we're going to finish up this year. Just kind of installing a lot of new stuff at the time that I talked to Bob. I guess that's kind of it. You'll expect them to hopefully get off to a fast start. And then kind of build momentum from there.
Right. And tough opening game. At least it's at home, but Plymouth White Marsh, very good football team coming in to J. Oscar Dick Stadium. But it'd be nice for Henderson to get some momentum and maybe, the kids' confidence build up a little bit.
Yeah, PW typically in the 5A field is,
pretty good.
I mean, they're going to make it to the semifinals usually every year, right? Aren't they?
Dan Chang is the head coach down there.
Yeah, but they're like Veer Midline, right? Aren't they?
Yeah, they used to be.
Right, I think they still are.
They still are.
And that's tough to prepare for, especially if you're not ready for it, and it's the first game of the year. We'll talk about that when we get to the Northern Division, but that's something Coatesville will also be dealing with. Fortunately for them, they've played Garnet Valley now like 5 or 6 times over the past 10 years, so they kind of have an idea of what's coming at them. All right. Let's move on and finish up with Great Valley.
Great Valley, the lone team in the Central, is not in Westchester. And it's kind of, the old is new is old again. Gary Phillips is back. 18th year as a head coach, 37th year of coaching. He was the head coach at Great Valley from 1993 to 2010. He's also going to be in charge of the defense. Offensively, Steve Moyer, former head coach from Upper Perkiomen High School, is going to call the plays offensively. He has 50 years of coaching experience. So, if nothing else, Great Valley will have a lot of people or a lot of experience coaching-wise. Gary, highlighting his team, starting at the quarterback position, he says that Andrew Stanley is junior, started about a half the season last year. A leader, hard worker, very athletic, and is going to be a dual threat guy for Gary. So Andrew Stanley will be the quarterback. Offensive line, he's looking at Nick Langston, who's a junior, and he's looking for Nick to be a leader on the offensive line. And Surya Kanwar, number 77 last year, was a senior, started every game at center. He expects Surya to be the vocal leader on and off the field. Bench is over 300 pounds, according to Coach Phillips. So hopefully he'll be able to move some people around. Skill guys. Luke Helmley is a senior, started as a wideout and D-back last year, first team all-league wide receiver, outstanding player, playmaker, and will be featured as a returner. A lot of Division III schools are looking at securing Luke's skills for next year. Bo Kosmalski started as a running back and played defense as a freshman last year. So they're counting on him to play, be strong and aggressive, probably one of the toughest and hardest workers that he's had in his coaching career. Nate, I know you're a big wrestling fan. Bo also wrestled last year and had 32 wins as a freshman.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, really good athlete, for sure.
and anytime you get a wrestler playing football, Coach Milano, I know he's had some good wrestlers, playing football. And those wrestlers are about half crazy. So you get a helmet on them, and good things usually happen. So big things they're hoping for out of Bo. Ty Callahan is also returning at wide receiver and will be a defensive back. Cooper Callahan, his brother, is also going to be playing on both sides of the ball. Defensively, Abdul Moore started on the D-line last year for Great Valley and was an all-league player. Kerrig Moore is a linebacker, started last year for Great Valley, had over 100 tackles, and Coach Phillips is counting on him to run the defense, make all the calls and the adjustments. So looking at Great Valley, again, Coach Phillips has taught there. He's been there for a while. Pete, you know Gary pretty well. What do you think he brings?
I think Gary, he's very happy to be back at Great Valley.
Mm-hmm.
He left on, maybe some bad terms, let's say. But they have some skilled people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Callahan kids are really tough. And I don't know much about their quarterback, Stanley. I didn't see him last year. But the Callahan kids can make plays.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a force.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of offense they
Yes.
run and put out there. And I know Gary, Gary's been at DC just about forever. So, you know what you're going to get when you play Gary Phillips coach defense. So I'm sure they're going to hang their hat on defense until hopefully the offense can kind of catch up. Yep.
Yeah, and he's just what they need. Gave up 30 points a game last year on the defense. So definitely need to improve on that side of the ball, obviously. And like you said, Kosmowski, a freshman last year, led the team in rushing, only at 244 yards. So obviously, I'm sure the emphasis is going to be building those lines and getting in the weight room and getting some fortitude up front, because that's been their biggest issue of late. So, but yeah, I mean, they have some kids. If they can just protect and block, it'd be interesting to see how they could do.
Coach Phillips, he's been very excited about the way that the players have welcomed him and the new staff. They worked really hard in the weight room. So I think that just having that fresh approach is going to really help this Great Valley team.
Well, did you say 30 points?
Yeah, 31.
299, 299, so 29.9 actually.
Yikes. All right. Now would be a good time to let's take a look at we're breaking down the Central. We started with Coach Milano last time, so let's go to the opposite end of the table. We can probably make this. Well, what do you got?
It's Ruston. It's Ruston. They're the cream of the crop in that league, and even though they're going to be breaking in a bunch of new players, I think the road to the Central is going to go through Westchester Ruston.
I like Ruston too. you know, it's a slogan, but they live by it. They're year after year, tradition never graduates, and as long as St. Clair's there, it's the head coach. They're my pick to win. I think Westchester East will push them now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you this, right? So I'll go out on a limb. I think that Ruston will make it back to the district final. I'm not sure they'll win it, but I will say that, as I did take them to win it last year. If you can't stop Buck Sweep, Power, and Belly, and you're not going to win this division. You're just not. So you better figure that out. You know, I'm not really calling any defenses out of the other three teams, but that's what you have to do in order to stop Ruston and make them beat you with something else. And until that happens, I'm picking Ruston every day of the week.
Yeah, I think I like what I saw from Westchester East camp this week. I like the idea of getting a little bit more physical, using the big boy up front, trying to run downhill a little bit more. I do think they have some weapons. I just think they play Ruston at the wrong time. They won't play Ruston until week 9.
Right.
I think Ruston, maybe struggles a little bit earlier. Not struggles, but just kind of find that new identity. Who's who? Tough game with Unionville right off the bat, but that's not a division game anymore. So I think come those last 3 weeks of the season, Ruston's going to be right back where they were, barring injuries, and I think they're going to be the favorite.
Yeah.
Hey, until somebody can prove that they can compete at that level, you got to go with Ruston. And you're in a conference now with 2 new head coaches, and the other Westchester school has a new defensive coordinator. You guys are talking about stopping Buck Sweep and playing defense. So, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. You got to go with the proven commodity, and that should be Westchester Ruston right here.
I will say this, though. I mean, if anybody has a capability of doing it, right, it'll be Mitt, because it's not like Mitt hasn't seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, same with Gary. I mean, Gary knows the wing team,
Right.
coached the wing team systems, and they're going to be very fundamentally sound over at Great Valley. And I don't know what to expect out of Henderson. It's a new.
Well, it's a new defense,
it's a new
so
defense,
yeah.
so
But I
don't
mean,
see that.
they'll know what's
It
coming.
comes down to the line of scrimmage in this division.
It always does.
Every division.
At every division.
Yeah.
In every league, at every level, everywhere, right?
All right, so that is our central breakdown. We will see you in a little bit, and we'll go over the North and Malvern Prep.